Hello everybody, John from Windy City Origami. Konnichiwa. Minasan genki desu ka? Kyou riso susumimasu. Today we're going to finish folding the Squirrel. This is a really fun one. I enjoy it a lot. This is by Jo Nakashima. This is part 2 of 2, continuation from last Tuesday. We are live every Saturday and every Tuesday at 5 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Please help to share the word, spread the news, get the information out there. We're going to go ahead and get started without any delay. So we left off on step number 42, and we were working on the eyes. And as you can see here, the eyes were done with a small little squash fold. It's kind of right where we left things on step 42. And as you can see, step 42 says to turn the entire model over. So that's what we're going to do, is turn the model upside down. It's just like that. Okay? So now we're going to move on to step number 43. And in step 43, what we're doing is kind of a rabbit ear fold. But it's going to come down, and this middle top piece is going to come down and create, it's going to come up and be vertical. So as you can see in step 44, it is 3D, okay? So this is kind of like a 3D step. So it's not going to lie flat when we do this. As you can see, this is pointing straight up after we finish with this one. So if we take a look at what we have, we've got a fold up here that we've made, and you can see that existing line. If I zoom in here, so you can see that existing line right here. It's a little bit pixelated, but there's a line right at the top. That's, if you kind of look, turn the paper over really quick, you're going to see that when this comes up to the top here, that creates a point. And if we turn it over, that point is going back. We've already kind of created a fold here, okay? So what we're going to do is use that existing fold, and we're going to go a little bit below it and create these valley folds, okay? So why don't we go ahead and get those started. So let me zoom in. So it's a little bit tricky, but you know, there's not a whole lot of, you know, by the time we finish folding this, it's going to be a little bit down here to the right. As you can see, right down here, just a little tiny bit offset on the right. So the key here is to just get that pre-crease in from here all the way over to, and you kind of eyeball it, maybe to about here. Okay, and then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. You're going to create a valley fold over here. That it kind of matches. And now what else do we have? We've got a point here, and it's coming all the way down into the corner over to here. Okay, so if you take a look, we've got another fold that we're going to be making here. And we have another fold that we're creating from the middle all the way down over to the right side. Okay, so let's just get some lines in here to see where we need to go. Okay, so those are the folds we're creating there. And then the last one is coming straight up the middle. And that's an easy one. That's a valley fold. So we can get that one started right now. So the whole top piece of the head. Now if we turn it over, so I'm turning it over to look on this other side, there are little folds that come in on the corners, if you can remember. those sometimes tend to come out. So make sure those are kept in when you're doing this move. And we can start with these. This is actually, I was going to start up here, but that's kind of the last fold, and it's an easy one. It kind of already wants to go there. So what we're going to do instead is look at this line here from the center over to here. We could either work on this one or the top one. And I mentioned already we'd work on the top ones first, so might as well do that. Maybe some of you have already done it. Put those folds in. So I'm just kind of doing it in the air. I'm air folding right up into that corner. Grease it down and do the same thing, just a little bit of a pivot over there on the right side. Just kind of get that air folded in. See how we got those air folded? Okay, now the next is going right from that corner all the way down to the right side. So I'll go ahead and get that started here as well. I'm kind of pulling the flap in, making sure it goes right up there into that corner. And fold it like that. And then on the right side, we'll do the same thing. See how this is coming all up into that corner like that, pinching. Now, as I'm pinching and bringing this into the corner, you can see the back, the ears are kind of wanting to come out. So it's going to be 3D, like I had mentioned earlier, and these are going to come and meet right in the middle. So they're going to create the lines that we already kind of folded, okay? And you can kind of push it over to the left like this, and you can push it over to the right, and just get those lines in there really good. But now, as you can see, the paper is coming up almost 90 degrees out of the paper, like the next step kind of illustrates. Okay, and as you can see, that valley fold kind of happened in the middle. It didn't actually go all the way through the layers. It just went through these, as you can see. So not all of them came in. So now we need to figure out how many of them. So there's this layer here. Does that stay out or does that go in? So that's what we need to kind of figure out in the next step. So as you can see in the next step, these are coming out. So this layer right here does not come in. So you're going to keep that one out. And the same thing on the left. I went a little bit too far with that layer myself. So take one layer out, and in the middle section here, you should have 4 layers. Okay, four pieces of paper. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, on the outside, you're going to have this coming out. So make sure you push that out and keep that out. And in fact, you know what? It's actually only one piece altogether. So it's a little bit hard to tell that. It doesn't exactly explain it, but I'm pretty sure that's what's happening here. So down at the bottom, and the way you can tell is that there's two layers here on the right and the 2 layers on the left. And if you look in the diagrams, you would see, if there were 2 layers, you'd see 2 little lines right here, and they would probably mention something. So what we're going to do is take that other one and pull that out as well. Oh, now hang on a minute. Now look at that. See what happens when you do that? When I pull that out, look at how it changes. Look at what it looks like now. Does that match what we see? No, it does not. So I was correct. Have these 2 layers in. So now you're going to have these 4 in the middle. So that always kind of helps. Sometimes you can unfold it and look at it and then see, okay, so it is 2 on the right, 2 on the left. The diagrams should probably show that. So now what we're going to do is take this base thing and fold it in and create a valley fold. And now if we turn it to the left, you can see kind of what's happening here. So we're going to zoom out, go to step 45, and now as you can see, the rest of this is kind of folding down. Everything's folding down. So let's take a look on the next step, on step 46. Step 46 should now lie flat. So the whole head is coming down, and it almost looks like a horse's head, doesn't it? So we will keep these little things tucked in and fold the squirrel's head all the way down. Now I'm kind of making sure my ears are sticking out, so I'm kind of pushing my fingers in there as I do this. and make sure that it's valley folding on the top in the middle all the way through. So the top is kind of shifting. You can see that because the paper's so thick up there. So make sure you get it through the middle, that middle line there. And go ahead and push the whole thing down and flatten it out. Okay? Just like that. So now if we hold it straight up like they show in the diagram, the head is actually looking up a little bit, as you can see. There's a lot of paper up there, so it's going to kind of want to push itself out. Okay? So now as you can see in step number 46, we're taking this large right area here and folding it over to the right. And you can, as you can see, it's going pivoting through. There's a little pocket inside of there. You're going to pivot over that pocket and go over to the right and open it up. Okay, see how that was done? Fold that over like this, and now we're on step 47. Now, as you can see, I made a small little mistake. So this is actually going over, and look, does it match step 47? No, it does not. So instead of doing both of these, you just this top one, and there's a little, see how that goes over like that? That's a pretty simple fix. Okay, so now that thing, just the top layer moves over to the right. Okay, so now as you can see in 47, something's coming out, and to figure out what's happening, we look at the next step, and as you can see, that whole thing is just kind of coming out. So this piece right here, just bring it to the foreground. Pop it out. All right. Next, step number 48. Excuse me. So what we're doing here is folding everything back over to the left, like this. But this is creating the hands at the same the paws or the front hands at the same time. So we've got a valley fold here. So as we come forward, this is going to be like a reverse fold, but then it's going to create enough, there's going to be some valley folds in here. So let me show you here. So from the bottom here, you're going to come up, right here with a valley fold, and the same thing over here, going down into the bottom. That's also a valley fold. So we can kind of, as we're folding this over to the right, we can kind of get that valley fold started. And as you can see, if you get that all the way down into the challenge is to get your finger all the way in there and pivot it right down in the corner. That's part of the challenge on this one. And now when you come through all the way, you can see as you flatten it down, we're going to kind of guess, we can adjust it as after we finish folding it over. The other one, the right side is going to fold down and match the same thing, and then come all the way. And as you can see, it's going to stick out a little bit. Okay? So now we can take a look at the next diagram to see how ours compares. Okay? And as you can see in 49, we've got a little tiny point coming out, and it looks very similar. So I would call that a success as far as I'm concerned. It might want to go up a little bit more. If it goes up a little bit more, because as you can see, mine is kind of, if I hold it like this, it's pointing straight out like this, whereas we want it to kind of come up a little bit, as you can see in the diagrams. So if I open it up here, you can see my triangle was pretty large. I actually folded beyond my pencil lines. So I'm going to make it a little bit less. And what that's going to do is bring the arm up just a little bit. So now when I look at it, it's kind of coming out, it's up a little bit higher. So do that to taste. You can always come back and adjust the arms later. But we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so to do that, we're going to turn it over. And if you remember, we had this top layer only, kind of pivoting over. kind of pulling it over. That's going to over that flap. Fold over to the left. Now what we're going to do is take that, bring this thing to the foreground, take that bottom one out. See how that pops over like that? Okay, now we're going to do the same thing. So I'm just going to kind of get the valley fold started, fold it over like this, and line it up with the other one. It's a nice thing, you have a reference. As soon as you line it up, I can go ahead and push it all the way down into the bottom there. And then I can continue the rest by starting to collapse it and collapse it all the way over to the right. Okay? So there we've got our two little hands. And as you can see on here, that's our little hand. So our head is going to come up quite a way. See how the hands are lower down on this one, the finished one? So the head is going to be moved up. Okay, so now we've got two little hands, and we are on step number 50. Okay, so step 50 just kind of shows you the result of the two hands. Step 51, okay, now we start making the head a little bit smaller. So as you can see, we're doing a mountain fold up here on this piece of paper here, and it's going to go, the whole piece is going to kind of go underneath. And if you were to actually extend this line, this mountain fold line, it would come all the way down to about here. So I don't have a straight edge, but I can take a pencil and kind of hold it up to my screen, and if I follow that line exactly down, it's going to end actually a little bit like right here. So it's going to end like right at the bottom of the eye. Okay, that's where it's going to end. But that's going to be behind all the layers, and you're not even going to really see it. So just get it going all the way into the corner here, and bring it down to, the top, the right side or the bottom of the eye, right up in here. So it's just an approximation. We're just kind of thinning this back piece. Okay, just like that. See how I did that? Okay, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Let's turn it over. Do the same thing on the other side, just like that. So I did that. Same thing over here. Okay, so that completes that step. Pretty easy. Okay, guys, we are doing great. All right, now we're on step number 52, and as you can see, we're taking it all the way down here, and this whole piece here is being folded behind. So if you open it up and look on the back, you've got two little pockets, one here and one here. We're essentially taking this flap and folding it into that pocket. So we've got one on the right side and one on the left side. So I'm going to take that whole piece here and tuck it into this pocket on the left. And that's pretty easy. It looks like there's kind of a fold there already, so that is very painless. Do the same thing on the other side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock both layers. So I did the exact same thing I'm doing now on this one. But what I'm going to do is, because I don't like that white little layer in the middle, what I'm going to do is take this one and fold it into two. I'm going to fold it over two of those. That's going to take away that little white middle section. I think that looks a little bit cleaner, and you don't have that white in the center. Okay, so that's step 52. Step 53 is doing a reverse fold on the head. So what we're going to do is kind of grab it right in the middle. So you're going to look on the bottom, find the middle section, and then what we're going to do is, it looks like there's almost already a fold there, but that fold we're not going to use. We're going to come up further so it's closer to the base of the eye. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm just going to kind of tuck it in. And as you can see, it's going to go way inside of the model. This is going to flip all the way inside and come as far up as you can. Push it all the way in there as far as you can. and then fold it down, something like that. Okay, so we'll go ahead and look at step 54 to confirm. Ours looks similar to that. This angle here, mine is right now 90 degrees, and as you can see, like if I hold it up to my little square grid here, it's a little bit more than 90, and that's what we want. So that tip that we just folded all the way in, it might want to come down just a tiny bit. We're going to fold them over. It doesn't really matter. So just the key is you want to make sure that this this up here is coming far up enough. Okay, so now as you can see, we're doing mountain folds, very simple mountain folds right here to bring the tip of, or to round, kind of shape the face. So it's a lot of layers there. Get that side done there, and come on in on the other side and do the same thing. Now I'm using Kami, and as you can see, my paper is starting to tear on the nose. I hate that, don't you? So if you're using Kami and it starts to tear, you might have a little bit of repair work to do in the end, depending on how much of a showpiece you want this to be. But here's the thing. If you tear your paper, what you can do is, so if anybody tears their paper and they're worried about that, don't let it concern you so much. So there's ways to repair that, and to somebody who doesn't know any different, they would never know that the paper tore. So what do I mean? How do you do that? Well, you get a little stick of super glue. Okay. Now I'm not opposed to using glue. For some reason, glue is more okay to me than using scissors. But glue is kind of the finishing touches. I never used to be okay with using glue. But use some glue at the very end and just kind of dab it on there very lightly, and then hold it so that that white section disappears completely, and then it will dry and look just fine. So little tiny tears like that, I would not get too bent out of shape. It's definitely fixable. And in here, you can't even tell unless you look at the top. It's very hard to see that small little tear. But that's what happens, when your paper gets really thick. Unless you have a really special paper, sometimes you can't avoid that. So step number 55. All right. So step 55 just kind of shows the completed head without, before we finish the ears. But ours looks very similar to that, I would say. So I think we all did a very good job. The eyes may be a little bit too big, but it's okay. Step number 56 now. All right. So step 56 is starting to round out the bottom. So I'm going to zoom out here. And we're getting down to the easy steps, guys. So we're going to take this to the bottom of the front leg, or the arms. We're going to come all the way down to the bottom of here. Okay, so we've got our two lines as references. And now the only question is it one layer or two layers? So if we go over to the right, you can see it's only one layer that we're doing this on. So let's go ahead and do the top, and it's just this top. So don't go inside and do two layers. It's just the first top layer. Okay, so find that bottom right there up to the bottom of the arm. And just mountain fold it behind, just like that. Do the same thing on the other side. Get that fold started. Go all the way in and fold it all the way down, just like that. Okay. So next, now in 57 is doing a valley fold with now this layer. So we're getting ready to do the tail. Now, as you can see, the valley fold is going to create a parallel. This line is parallel to the back line, and it's going up to the same pivot point where we just created that other one, which is right below the arm. So I'm going to get that started, and I'm going to fold it, open it up a little bit to let that come in. And this is going to come, it actually folds all the way, so if you open this all the way up, this top part is going to fold right along what we have going up here already. So that's kind of neat. You know, it's to see and observe that. So as we do that with the bottom, it actually creates a nice parallel line all the way down the model. So that maybe it's coincidental, I'm not sure, but that lines up really nicely with the bottom of the arm there. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing over here on the other side. Didn't get so lucky on the other side, it looks like, as far as lining it up. I think it was coincidental. So there, now we've got this long section here, which it looks kind of weird, doesn't it? I mean, but that's on purpose, because the squirrels have large tails. So now on step 58, Step 58, we're starting to shape the hind legs, okay? So we're doing a simple crimp fold. As you can see, we're bringing that leg up. So we're taking this right piece here and folding it straight up. Now, how far up do you go? Well, it's to taste. This is to taste. So come up to, just look on the belly just a little bit lower, kind of like that, just a little bit up. In fact, you're going to see a line behind here. I mean, you can use this as a reference. See that line behind you? You can fold right up on that one. That actually makes a good reference. And then you're going to pivot down at the bottom here. Make sure you're pivoting there. And this is going to come down. And now the question is that going to be flat? So what's the orientation? So to figure that out, what we're going to do is just move over here and look at 59. So as you can see, if this is straight up and down, I'm going to use my grid here in the back, which is nice. If that's straight up and down, this leg here is going to be going up a little bit, okay? So mine might be going up a little bit too much as it is right now. So I'm going to pivot mine down just a little bit. That's a little bit too aggressive, I would say. Just like that. And you can kind of picture the squirrel. So if you rotate it like this, that's how it's going to be in the end. And there's quite a bit of paper in there. So push it down really good. Get a nice crease in there. And we're going to flip it over. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So fold this up. Look behind. It helps if you look like this sometimes and you air fold. You can kind of get it going to right to match on the opposite side. And then if you place it back down on the table, then it's easy to match it up on the other side going the other way. Again, there's a lot of paper in there, so push down really good. Get your hammer out. Push it down really nice and firm, just like so. Okay, step 60. We're doing a rabbit ear fold on the leg. So the way this is done, if you aren't familiar with this, is you kind of grab this right here, and what you're going to do is pinch right here. And you're going to create a mountain fold through the angle bisector. I'm pinching here, and you're going to create an angle bisector, so it's going to line up on the other side behind. You're going to pinch right there. Now, it's going to stop pinching. I pinched a little bit too far because it's going to stop short of here, and then it's going to, that little ridge is going to go right to the edge of the stomach. Okay, so don't pinch as far as I did. just like that. You see how that's coming into place like that? Just like that. See how that's coming in? If you pinch in, kind of create those other mountain folds as well, coming in just like that. And then what's going to happen is that this is going to go up. So this is going to pivot behind. So now it's kind of 3D, and now it's going to pivot this way. So if we go to forward to take a look at the next step, you can see it's kind of going that way. Now, this is left 3D. Now, when I did it on my other squirrel here, I kind of left it 3D. See how I did that? So, you know, that's completely fine not to go all the way. So I've left it kind of like that right now. But you can fold it up just a little bit. Oops. Get off the camera there, and fold it up just a little bit behind, and I think that looks pretty nice too. So I'm going to do it on the same thing on the other side. Pinch it and kind of twist it up, twist it behind just a little bit. I'm pinching it like this, and I'm just going behind just a little bit, twisting it behind. Something like that. Okay. All right. Moving on. I think we're on the final step. 62. Or getting close at least. And not the final step yet. 62. Whoopsies. Okay, 62 is getting the tail right up there, okay? So let's go ahead and do a valley fold first through all the layers, and as you can see it's pivoting right up here, and you're coming all the way. Now as you can see, as you fold this up, look at that beautiful tail. Beautiful, beautiful. That's going to come right up like that. Isn't that cool? Ah, I love that. So get that started here through all the layers, and then what you're going to do is open it up like this. Open it all the way up, and you're going to push it out to an outside reverse fold and go back. Now it's going to tuck over, so go ahead and do the outside reverse fold. It's going to go all the way across and over those back legs. See how it goes over the back legs like that? And we can confirm that in the next step. As you can see, it's going over the legs, and it's going all the way up in there. So what I mean all the way up in there is it's going all the way to the bottom of the leg here. So when we pinched our legs to come in, the tail is coming all the way up to that point. And I like that. Okay. Hey, Julia. Yes.
Can I have your box? Can I have your stick?
Which stick?
That is a tiny. Actually, that is for. Let me show you.
Okay. So as you can see in this next step, in step 63, we have what looks to be a step I completely missed when I folded this squirrel the last time. So, not sure how I missed that. But let's take a look at this and see. So all it's doing is kind of like sinking it into the model. So what we're going to do is just get that fold started.
Daddy, like this.
Just like this, kind of create like a valley
like
fold.
This.
Oh, yeah? What about it?
I want a big stick for this.
Okay. Well, can you give me about 10 minutes? And I'll help you. So
Give me a stick.
once I've created that, I'm going to open it up and just do my best to kind of get it inside. And the only way to do that is to do a sink fold. So I'm going to open it up And that whole piece there is going to go inside like this. And you're going to change direction on these inside of here. And what's going to happen is that it's going to, when you fold it back into place, see what's happening here? It just kind of goes inside like that. So there, once again, I tore the paper. Hey, you know, happens to the best of us, right? So you get for folding with kami. Cheap kami, I should say. So there is a kami that's a little bit more durable, easier to use. It's from
Daddy,
it's called
Daddy, just for 8 minutes.
Okay. Yep, I'll be right there. So it's I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's Toyo paper, I think. You can get it from Taro's Origami shop. It's a really nice brand of origami paper. So, okay, 63, 64. Now, as you can see, we're bringing the tail out. So we're doing an outside reverse fold. And see the curl? This is what we're aiming for. So look at step 65. That's what we're going to do right now.
Can I eat the last one?
Sure, yep. So we're going to open this up, fold it over. And this is kind of to taste, so I maybe went a little bit too far. Just kind of look at it. And as you can see, my back tail is going much more further over to the right than what the diagrams are showing. So I may not have gone high enough up on the tail, but it's a little bit too late to fix that now for me. So, you know, I can make that adjustment by doing this, but then that's going to bring this down. So I'm just going to leave mine the way it is, and it doesn't bother me too much. But as you can see in the diagram, that tail is coming up much higher. So if you really want to do that, you can kind of redo everything inside of here. This would come up higher, basically. So I'm kind of forcing mine to go there. And yeah, and then it's just making that tear in the back even worse. So just hide that little tear and move on is my opinion on that. So that little rounded piece back there never gets seen anyway. So fold that up to taste and just take to the back part and just kind of roll it over. And I think you don't want to press it down all the way. I mean, if you did already press it down, no problem. It's sometimes artistic to kind of leave it 3D. And if you don't like that white, you could get either a brown marker in the end, or you just fold it over. Just kind of try to hide that little white tear in the back there. Okay, so we're getting really close now. That's step 65. Step 66 is working on the ears. So what's happening here? So it's hard to tell because you're not seeing the next step. So let's zoom out. Let's look at step 67. Okay, as you can see, it's just like a squash fold. So let's go back here and take a look. So we're dividing this. Zoom in. There's a triangle up here at the top of the ear. Let's see that triangle. So we're dividing that triangle right in half. So you may need to get a pencil or something out to kind of poke it in there. And you're taking that and you're going to squash it down. So open it up all the way and then squash it down just like that. Do the same thing on the other side. Open it up, squash it down. Just like that. Okay? So now, as you can see, you're folding it up and almost creating like a petal fold, but that's creating the ear. So the ears are going to be like 3D sticking up. So we're going to come in all the way inside of here. And the right and the left are just going to come in just a little bit, just kind of wanting to fold in. And you can kind of come all the way down like that, but you're going to make it 3D inside. So don't flatten it down. These ears are meant to be sticking out, and they're meant to be kind of 3D here, just like that. See how that ear is sticking out like that? We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Get that petal fold started. And get those ears to go up in the air. See how my ears are coming up? Something like that. A little bit to taste. Mine has a little bit of a gap in there. I'm going to pull it up like that. So there, now I've got two little ears. See that? Okay, great. All right. Now the eyes. Finishing touch here on the eyes. So all they're doing here in the eyes is just opening it up. Okay, so just kind of rounding out the eyes. So let's make sure we've got our two little squash folds there. And all it's doing is just kind of opening up the eye a little bit, just like that. That's all they're saying. Okay, and we'll do it on the other side, so just kind of making it 3D. Open up the eye. See how it's now 3D? So we can just go back and double check that. So there's no description. They don't tell you anything, but that's what's happening. It's just making that eye 3D. Okay, that completes it. So now once you create the eye and make the eye 3D, you're essentially done with your model. Now I did not come prepared with a brown marker, and I also did not come prepared with some fast drying super glue, but I would recommend, since now we're done with our model, is for the spots that, if you're using kami, see how there's some white right there? I would recommend getting a brown marker or a brown crayon and kind of coloring that in. In fact, I'm just going to check really quick and see if I can find one just to make it look really nice in the end. But this should now stand up. So if I hold it like this, there we go. Look at that. Stands up perfectly. So take my camera down here. And as you can see, it stands up really nicely. So I will hide my diagrams here. So pretty nice, right? I don't think it looks bad at all. Now, like I said, you can get a little marker. I was gonna go find one and try to touch it up, but you guys can do that. You don't need to see me do that here on video. Same thing there. That does bother me, but on the side you wouldn't know. You know, especially put it far away, you would never know the difference. So there we go. That completes our squirrel. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I hope this squirrel turned out for you. If it didn't, feel free to fold it again. These models take a bit of patience, I will say. And the more precise you can be, the better. It helps to kind of take some deep breaths, sometimes step away, pause, come back. These aren't always the easiest things to fold. We are in the intermediate. We're going to be moving on to complex at some point. We might just kind of sprinkle them in. It's a little bit hard. As soon as you get into really complex models, you're looking at 3-4 sessions. So this was 2 sessions, and we pushed it now today to 45 minutes and just barely finished this squirrel. We've got a really exciting model coming up. I've got it here with me. You got to check this out. So we're starting this on Tuesday. This is a beautiful model. Look at this. I'm a big fan of this one. So this peacock is just gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to be teaching how to fold this. This is very difficult. Okay, this is not an easy model, and it's going to take 3 sessions to complete this. And in fact, as I was folding it, I was trying to figure out how am I going to teach this, because it's not easy.
Daddy, I told you how you're going to be done in 7 more minutes, but it's
So sounds like I'm needed in another place here. So thanks a lot, everybody, for watching. 皆さん見てくれてありがとうございます。また火曜日ですね。See you later. Bye, everybody. See you on Tuesday.